Computer. 2, 1, and welcome to another episode of Pop Talk. This is December the 15th, and actually December the 16th. I want to say, I hope we cut that because we actually shoot it because it's a television show, and then we actually put it out on the 16th. But with that said, a little stumble. I am Professor Nims, the pundit with the PhD in pugilism. To my left is my man, the Casual Rand, the best name in boxing media. And down below, we got Bosston Jarod. Don't forget the S. That's B-O-S-S. And with that, Coach Dave is working on a very, discreet plan right now. He's not going to be able to join us this week, but we will pick him up next week as we put there. But Dave, we will definitely, keep you in our, thoughts as we kind of go through this. I'm sure that Jarod is a little disappointed. His sparring partner is not around. And
oh, I am not. You gonna talk that Tank Davis shit? I was not here. I was not hearing it. I was not trying to hear that shit tonight. Not with the rumors I done heard about them pay-per-view numbers. I was going to fuck with him. I was going to send him a text earlier. Have y'all seen the numbers?
Well, we won't get. We won't digress too much. Let's just jump into the content real quick. You know what I'm saying, for everybody, for the agenda. So tonight we're going to definitely jump into Loma. He dominates Commey in there. I think, I was maybe a little bit off on the prediction, but I think everybody pretty much expected those results. We also have Donaire, who he stopped his fellow countryman. Benn, I think, was able to really make a statement for the 147 class. He destroyed Algieri. And then we were going to talk a little bit about a local boxer who had an opportunity in the MSG, Michael Williams Jr., but we're going to say that he actually has a relationship with Coach Dave. But we're actually going to talk about somebody who did impress, which was Xander. So with that said, we will kick it off, and I will save some time to deal with the Tank and the alleged pay-per-view numbers in that. But we want to be respectful.
Evan Brown this Friday. We're going to talk about Better Be Evan Brown. That's a big fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that said, because the Loma against Commey fight, it kind of wrapped up this the kind of first round of the 135 tournament. That was that, right? So it was a bit of a small tournament with 8 fighters, right? We had Lopez. He flopped in his opportunity to make a statement in there. Haney did well. Did what we expected, dominated his opponent. Tank did what he was supposed to do, maybe not to the effect that people expected. And then now to close that out, we have Loma and his performance against Richard Commey. So we're going to, I'll go ahead and kind of save some of my comments in there. But let's start with the Casual Rand. Were you impressed with Loma's performance against Richard Commey?
I was actually. Like last week, we said that this was a test for Loma. Not necessarily that Commey was going to bring a test. The test was how he was going to look during that fight. If he came in sluggish or questionable, I think the rest of the 135s was going to line up to try to get at him next. But he went in, he did what he was supposed to do. He looked pretty good. He looked sharp. So I think he sets himself as one of the top 135s. I think right now it'll be a close one between him and Tank. But those are the two I say running 135, and after this win, it's
what about Haney?
It's between him and Haney to get Cambosis. But Loma, I think he mops Haney easy.
Yeah, and he's trying to, you know, to kind of take the path of least resistance. He's trying to go straight to Kambosos, whatnot. But a lot of people say that deservedly so.
You
But
know, I like looking at the matchups and the behind the scenes and the making of the fights. So the issue right now is he's trying to become the mandatory for Kambosos. But I think Eddie Hearn is saying that unification fight trumps a mandatory. So it's lining up to be exciting. Kambosos, that he has either to choose Haney or Loma, setting 22 up to be a time to for the unification. Either route, I say by the end of the year, Loma and Haney should be fighting for unification.
I mean, you make a good point, and I think almost all the time that would be true, and that a unification trumps a mandatory. But you know, sometimes if the star is big enough, they can kind of rise above that, right? I don't know if Loma's there, but if it was a case with a Floyd Mayweather or Canelo and to a Pacquiao, right? Those
it's
things.
The WBC, dude. It's the WBC. Wherever the most money is for them, that's the fight that will get made. And I don't see that Loma has demonstrated enough drawing power to be able to represent that much money. Tank represents the most money at 135 for anybody.
That's true.
So you know, Devin Haney, and I have said this before, you know, he is going to find himself in the same situation that Demetrius has found himself in. And Demetrius had the whole contract issue with Benn Promotions, with kept him out of the ring. But aside from that, he's a high risk, low reward guy, and he's already getting labeled as the boring black fighter. You know, you read a lot of articles, you listen to a lot of the people with platforms on YouTube. Haney is as being labeled as boring, and none of those things really help his case. I mean, you know, he's got a tough style to have to deal with. It's not necessarily a fan-friendly style all the time. And he don't bring a whole heck of a lot of money to the table. He don't bring the same amount of cash that a guy like Tank does. So, yeah, I think, you know, if you're Kambosos, you're looking at where can I get the most money with the most manageable amount of risk.
But I think his next fight is going to be at his location, so he's going to max out that anyway. So you know what I'm saying? Either it's going to be Haney or Loma. I think Loma.
I mean, he's going to fill out a state. He's going to
fill out a stadium.
Anytime
he's not going to be a pay-per-view star.
70, 80. So you can count on 70, 80,000 Australian fans.
Yeah, but he's not going to make the same amount. He's not going to make that doing a voluntary in Australia. They can do 10,000 in Vegas, and he can make millions of dollars. He ain't gonna get that in Australia.
Well, he actually, you know, he actually called, and I thought he was genuine in it. I mean, Lopez wanted no part. He actually called for. He was like, you know, you gave me opportunity. Let's do it. You know, back at there in the stadium, 80,000. Like we'll pack it out. So that means that he's willing to take on some risk, because I think that he fully believes. I mean, most all fighters that step in the ring, they fully believe that they can beat anybody in there, right? You know, it just takes an opportunity.
You think so?
Well, I mean, not. So let me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like some people do go in there to get paid, but I'm thinking about fighters at a high level and those there. So, but there are exceptions to the rules, and there's levels to this. But I truly believe that he thinks that if he gets in there with Lopez again and on his home court, that he has a good opportunity to beat him. I think that a focused Lopez, the one more that you saw against Loma and Chico, does beat him and stops him. But that's why we fight the fight. I think you're right about Tank. He is clearly and we'll have to kind of quantify that, but he is clearly the star of that division. He not only he has the fighting style, but he also has the connection to culture in a way that allows him to transcend. And he's getting more comfortable in front of the mic. He used to be really, really awkward, and he's getting more
painfully awkward.
He used to be it used to be like hard. So he's working on that, and he's still very young in saying that. So
he is working on surgically removing Floyd Mayweather's lips from the side of his face too, is what he also needs to.
I don't know if that's gonna happen. I don't know if that's gonna happen though.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rumblings out there, and on a lot of stuff being said out in these here boxing streets about what's going on at PBC and money and numbers.
Yeah. So and then we'll talk about this for a second, but we'll keep it within the context of the 135 because we can address it in there. So PBC does have a reputation of kind of overpaying their fighters, and people are thinking about like, how are you able to kind of do that? So what you can, they had a lot of investors, a lot of people that they kind of put in there. But when you have a business or a business model, you kind of work off the idiom or that, right? You're not going to be profitable until like after 5 years. And all that. So, right, you're going to be kind of like losing money and
okay.
Yeah. So, but the thing is like they did not build something that was sustainable. There wasn't a model, and then at some point, the issue was going to hit the fan. But this is also probably spurred on a little bit faster because of a pandemic, right? So there's
that certainly didn't help.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help.
One of their major stars flipping his car over in fucking Texas and losing out on that a big time fight, that didn't help.
It does. I think
because that guy got hurt twice, right? Those are 2 Fox pay-per-views that didn't happen, right? We missed out on.
I mean, him against Pacquiao lost a lot of money.
Oh yeah, that was a huge L.
That was a huge L. They lost a lot of money. Like the state of Nevada, suffered a little, because of that, because that would have generated a lot. And it to me, I think it would have painted different, and probably maybe a clearer picture within the 147. But I'm not mad at where we're at, but I don't want to go there quick. But I do want to kind of put a ribbon on this a little bit. And one thing I was thinking about is that who would you favor if Loma fought Tank right now?
Tank. Only because, and not because I think Tank is a better boxer. I think Loma might be a little bit more polished, especially offensively. But Loma's got to be perfect. He has to be perfect for 12 rounds in that fight because he don't have pop. With Loma, it's death by 1,000 punches. And Tank,
but you don't see him though. You don't see him.
See, he does all that pretty moving around in angles and shit against guys with inferior foot speed.
Yeah, that's true.
Teofimo showed you that if you turn with him, if he's in there with a comparable athlete, it's more of a chess match with him. Watch the first Teofimo fight. He ain't doing all that shit. He's outside.
No, you're right. I mean, but he's moving
to his credit because he knows he can't take them shots from them guys up at that weight class.
Well, no, yeah, and I mean, and then that's why he gave Teofimo a lot of, because he's
a 120.
He's a 126. He's a
126 pound guy. He's fighting way above his weight class right now.
That is his weight class. He does know that. But we know that Tank can be outboxed over by a lot lesser boxers over a pretty long stretch, right? You're right. He does have to be like Barrios, and I thought Cruz
Barrios outboxed him, huh?
He was, I thought he did. I thought he was winning. I mean, everybody was pretty much the judge.
I gotta go back and watch that. I only watched that like one time.
He did. He doesn't. He gets into habits where he doesn't throw a lot. So if you are busy and doing things, he will wait for his shot. I would
Barrios is also.
I would call it kind of. I mean, I don't want to kind of head my bit, but like Randy, give me your thoughts on that. Like, who would you favor at this time? Just right now.
Tank power. Tank showed like his power can go up.
Tank didn't even wobble Cruz, did he? And then you were the same person that wanted me.
Yeah, but he was one-handed.
6 round, and then Jarod was questioning his power also.
I did. I
still his power. He still can. I mean, Barrios is a little thick, hard-headed joker, but his power goes up to 147, man. So,
I'm right? We haven't seen him fight any 147 pounds. Barrios was
he sparred with Porter.
I mean,
all right, man, bro. I sparred with heavyweights. I sparred with heavyweights. Hey, Randy, I sparred with heavyweights before.
You was there for that sparring, Randy. Come on, man.
Nah, both sides say they did it. You know what I'm saying? They did it.
140. We know Tank can box. His skill level is unquestionable, I think, at this point, even though his level of opposition has been mediocre to just above mediocre at times. I think the skill level was there. We gave Crawford the benefit of the doubt for many, many years, despite fighting not the best opposition. I think it's, at least for me, it would be unfair of me to not give Tank that. My thing with Tank is I think his power is more comparable to a Crawford than it is a Wilder or a Charlo or a Beterbiev. And that's probably what I should have elaborated on more last week. If Wilder is a 10 on a scale from 1 to 10, I think that guys like Jermell Charlo and Arthur Beterbiev are in that 9, mid-9 range, low 9. I think Tank and Crawford are more in the mid-8s to low 8s in terms of their power. They're guys that have to hit you.
You got Charlo over Tank? No,
that's what I'm saying. Man, I
thought you were going to put them about the same.
He had some impressive knockouts, but I'm looking at Tank, and I think his knockout streak and his knockouts is just as impressive.
Right, but what about the guys? Who is Erickson Lubin and Jason Rosario on Tank's resume? Who's Tony Harrison?
Barrios and like.
But you know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I'm saying? At this point, like, look, you can't say Lubin because he caught him.
Who is Lubin? Who is Lubin? First of all,
he caught him early.
Lubin just went in there and beat Jason Rosario.
The 8th round and then bam, he knocked him out.
Yeah, but hold on, like Randy, hold on 1 second. So I was asking about Lubin. So he's hasn't been a world champion. He has a lot of hype because of he has a pedigree and all that, but like Barrios was a champion.
Barrios was a champion?
Yes.
When? Hold up. I'll work on that while you go ahead. Okay. I did not know that Mario Barrios. He might have had one of them little trinket belts. He was never.
I thought that was a unification bout.
Okay, but even still, Cam,
he held the. Yeah, he held the WBA belt. He held it from 2019 to 2000. Like, he was a world champion. But the thing was, like, I don't know why you're giving Lubin credit, man. Like, I know Lubin. Boxing people know Lubin, but you're acting like knocking him out is like, and
it's not just him, though. It's not just him. He knocked out Tony Harrison. He knocked out Jason Rosario. He's fought better guys than Tank has. He's demonstrated his power against.
No. I didn't disagree with you on that. You know what I'm saying? He has fought better guys, but the way he getting them out, Tank got to get people out just as nice.
But a lower level of opposition.
All right, but that's the difference there. It is, yeah. So, but we got into a whole kerfuffle about Tank and the Charlo power, and we want to give the due to the fighters who are actually in the ring. So Donaire, he stopped Gaballo. Am I saying that right? Gaballo, Gaballo. Yeah. But he's also from the Philippines. So I watched this fight. It was a little strange because the guy seemed to be that he was fighting, I think he had around 17 fights. I'll look it up, but he seemed to be athletic and showed some good boxing things, but it became clear that I think early that he wasn't on the level of Donaire. Donaire stopped him with a body shot, and let me get the exact round.
I think it was a 4th round stoppage.
Yeah, and so I don't really think that we learned anything from there. I do like Donaire. I've been a fan of his, and he has this late career resurrection, and he's somebody that always, it's not only that he comes to fight, but he comes for the knockout. And but we also want to be careful. I wouldn't say that, because a lot of times we give people a lot of credit for having a great performance in a loss, but he's had some good performances after that. And what I'm referring to is when he fought Inoue and hurt him, a couple of times, and had a really surprise. I thought Inoue, because he's still one of my favorite fighters in there, but I thought it was a good win. We probably didn't learn a lot from there, but it allows him to kind of keep going on. So any kind of word. So it was his name is Raymart Gaballo, and you were right. It was a 4th round knockout for our man Nonito Donaire. So we'll go to Bosston Jarod. Anything that you can take away from this?
I only watched the highlights of this fight, so I can't comment on what we did or did not learn about Nonito Donaire as far as where he's at skill-wise. I will say this for Nonito, though, man. The guy's come a long way. After that Rigo fight, I remember watching that Rigo fight. He was the only guy that had the balls to give Rigo a shot. Nobody wanted to fight. Nobody wanted. Leo Santa Cruz, none of these guys wanted to fight Rigo. Nonito was the only guy that grabbed his balls and said, fuck it, let's fight. And that fight nearly ruined him. I think Rigo might have fractured his eye socket in that fight. And Nonito,
but he takes on everybody, and that was a good fight for like Rigo to actually kind of put him on there.
Yes.
But he also fought when he got smashed by Walters.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. I mean, that fight with Rigo really took a lot out of him. I thought that Rigo walked out of that ring with part of Donaire's soul. He went in there against Nick Walters afterwards, and Nick Walters obliterated him. And a lot of people thought that was it for Nonito. A lot of people thought that.
I thought it was it. I thought
another HBO.
He was 30-something years old. He was already a Hall of Famer by that time.
Right, but he was very, very much a part of that HBO hype train. He was, a lot of people thought that he was Manny Pacquiao, not part of the hype train. Manny Pacquiao was legit.
Oh no, I mean, but like they were the people that they propped up. But like these were people who, he was a pound for pound fighter, in my opinion.
He was on I know Jim Lampley, but again, this was the sentiment of a lot of boxing fans, was that him, Mercito Yesta, who I don't even think you guys even remember. Mercito Yesta was another Filipino fighter who was up there riding.
He was garbage though. Like he was discovered pretty easily.
Right. But the point is, a lot of people thought that was it for Donaire, and clearly it wasn't. Man, he's come back and he lost to Inoue, right? He lost Inoue, but he's come back, got a belt. Was that a legit belt he got last night, or was that some secondary belt he got over the weekend? I don't remember. No, it was a WBC belt.
It was legit. And he was actually supposed to fight.
He got the WBC.
Yeah, he was actually supposed to fight.
Casemiro was.
But it got. Yeah,
Casemiro said some shit about his wife in Tagalog or some shit like that. Some foul shit he said about his wife, and the fight fell apart. But now he's talking about rematching Inoue, which I'll be front and center for that. I'll watch that. I'll definitely watch that. But yeah, man, good for Nonito, man. I'm happy to see him at this point in his career, like you said, resurrected. Having this late career kind of resurgence. So good for.
And it is because you rarely see that in boxing, right? So boxing is not the sport that is conducive to these late career resurrection. He's been able to do it. He seems healthy for the most part, and he's still knocking people out. So I mean, that's the thing it's not like he's kind of scraping by. This guy's stopping people. The level of competition I really can't speak to, but he's still at 39 years old. He still has his power.
Is that what he is? He's 39?
39 years old.
Holy shit, man. Good for him, man. Good for him.
Yeah.
And I think at that bantamweight class, man, we do need to see him fight Casemiro. That'll be a unification match, man. So hopefully they can bring that back, man. But like that's a true weight class that those folks aren't scared to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? From the top all the way down, they're getting in the ring with each other. And the only one that has an O is Inoue. You know what I'm saying? He's the only undefeated. The rest of them got losses on their records, but they're not scared to get in the ring. And then you got the baby Gary Russell in the weight class too. You got Russell. Hopefully in about 2 years we'll be talking about him in the top 2-3 in that weight class.
Well, he, interestingly enough, Randy, I'm looking at the rankings right now. He is in a position with the WBA to fight Dave's boy Rashid Warren for a shot at Inoue's WBA belt.
That's interesting. I think
that is a name I haven't heard in a while.
Rashid Warren is currently ranked as the number 1 in the WBA. Rashid Warren is also ranked and number 2 in the WBO. That's the belt that Casemiro has. I don't see Gary Antonio Russell ranked in. Oh no, he's ranked in the IBF also, but he's like 8th or something. But Gary Antonio Russell is in position if the WBA orders an eliminator, or maybe they elevate Warren to that, whatever that is, that interim WBA belt that Tank had for the hot second. We'll see. Might be some moving and shaking down here at 118.
It's making it interesting. I mean, so I will take that, and I will say I do give them credit, but not to be the kind of Grinch before Christmas, is that part of it is that they don't have as much leverage because, right, a lot of, as you get smaller, the less people kind of watch you. But there are some, we do have our glamour weight division, which featherweight is a legitimate glamour weight division, like when they do have good fighters there. When you think about Eric Morales, I mean, this is, but I'm just kind of going. So it's like, it's featherweight, because usually it's kind of welterweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. But I would say that featherweight, if it has good fighters, like, we've seen superstars at that weight class in there. But I don't want to get too much into the grain, because we want to talk about Conor Benn, who absolutely destroyed Algieri. I didn't really like Algieri's performance at all. I thought it was a little bit too much kind of, I thought he was, are you in a movie or something? That's kind of like prepping and preening. This guy's out here to hurt you. I didn't see too many meaningful punches that came from Algieri, but I'm not saying this to take away credit from Conor Benn, because I wasn't that interested in seeing a fight, but because I saw Conor Benn fight before, and he's admittedly strong and has a powerful punch and pretty good technique for somebody who came to the game late. But he seemed reckless. He was a bit of a caveman, and he showed me some wrinkles. And he showed a lot of patience in there. He still needs to clean up some things in there, but he's definitely willing to learn. And he had Algieri out on his feet, just sleep, and he set it up, right? So it wasn't one of those things. He was throwing to the body, throwing there, getting him to look down, and then just a straight pow pow, and had him going. I actually like that he showed some sportsmanship and not taking Algieri's head off. in there, but I don't think you could have asked for a better performance for him. It's not even like if he would have came out and smashed him in the first round, it wouldn't have been a better performance because we would not have been able to see the growth and his patience. And for him to kind of do that, we saw him set up punches. And he definitely made himself a name at 147, of course. And I'm actually not mad at this. You know who he's calling out? He wants the winner of Amir Khan versus
Kell Brook, man. That just
that's good. Like smash them, put them into make about $5 million. Like they will.
Yeah, I mean, he gonna stay local. He gonna stay over there in the UK and smash. But he ain't coming over here.
Like no, he will. But at this time, let him get his money. He needs to develop a little bit more. But I think that this was for him and his stage of development. I thought that you couldn't ask for a better performance from Conor.
So with Tom, you think he's gonna surpass Ortiz? You think he's gonna surpass
Ortiz?
Dennis?
I'm not that impressed with Ortiz. Yes, Ortiz.
We gotta wait and see, man. We gotta wait and see.
I mean, Boost Ennis looks like a legit. I'm not gonna like speak on things, but he has opportunity to be special. Ortiz, yeah, I would put him in there with Ortiz. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you know, we had went back and forth about this for a quick second on the on our chat there, and I mentioned that the man of the win beating Algieri isn't necessarily the feather in your cap, but like Cam said, how he beat Algieri was what stood out to me. Algieri's been in the ring with Pacquiao. He's been in the ring with Provodnikov. And back when he fought Provodnikov almost killed Tim Bradley. Provodnikov sent Bradley to the hospital. I mean, Algieri got knocked down by Manny Pacquiao, I think 4 or 5 times in that fight and got up every single time and finished that fight. Conor Benn touched him one time and this thing went to sleep. Now, granted, Algieri and Randy pointed this out. Algieri has not been the most active. This, I think, is his first fight at 47. And in several fights, I don't think he's fought.
No. I'm pretty sure he's fought at 147 before. It might have been.
Yeah, he fought Spence, but he is not a 147 pounder. He ain't active.
He got slept by Spence.
He old as dirt. So he fought Pacquiao
like that old. The thing is, he's a nutritionist. Like I think that's what.
I mean, he's been in the ring with serious dudes. I mean,
and that's what I was saying. That's why I was like, he did like this is serious. I didn't even like his demeanor and posture in the ring, and you know what I'm saying. So, but your point is taken though. I would say you have to think about his opponent and where he is at that state because we're thinking about Algieri. Fought Pacquiao, and fought Provodnikov, and had those. So, but fighters change. Fighters change. Like fighters are not always
absolutely. Not to end all be all, but like I pointed out to Randy on the chat, who is Chris Algieri on Jaron Ennis's resume? Who is Chris Algieri on a guy like who else is up there?
Ortiz.
Who is Chris Algieri on Virgil Ortiz's resume? Those guys don't have that kind of a win yet. Everybody in boxing has taken out an old journeyman at some point. Everybody who's at the top of the food chain right now in boxing was fed some old journeyman boxers. Some of the best boxers in history, some of their best wins are names, and those guys were well past it when they lost. So it is a legitimate caveat, but it's definitely not the exception. This has been going on in boxing for forever. He needs more time. I don't mind that he called out the winner of Amir Khan, Kell Brook, which sold out in 10 minutes, by the way.
They will make so much
sold out in 10 minutes.
Easy.
Tank Davis had 2,000 tickets left still available a week before the fight started. Good seats, not nosebleed seats, good seats. and guys like Amir Khan and Kell Brook are still selling out. And again, that's the UK. It's kind of its own little.
Yeah, that's
It
a
is.
UK fight, man. You can't. I mean, when they fight each other, man, the whole country like gets together for that, man. Like here, like Tank is an East Coast fighter, and he went to go to the LA to fight. You know what I'm saying? On a
Sunday on an NFL
Sunday. And a replacement.
It was
fighter.
weird,
So,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
nobody knew about that.
Gonna be shit from
And
the
it was-
get-go, man.
it was
set up
weird,
from the
too.
get-go.
It was weird.
But here's the thing.
Nobody knew about it, that it was on a Sunday, right? Because I remember like up until the fight, I was reading, I was like, so this fight, and I was like, is he fighting? And I checked it a couple of times. Is he fighting on a Sunday? Because I'm not saying that's right, but you have to like put that out there, like put it there, like the Sunday extravagant. Not like nobody expects a fight on a Sunday. I'm sorry, but
Well,
go ahead, Bosston Jarod.
My mother was telling me that my mother and my father were telling me that back in the day, like in the 70s and 60s, you would see fights on Sundays. You would see big time fights.
Absolutely. Like
they would be in the summertime.
No, I actually saw them fights too.
There would not be any NFL on. There wouldn't be any NBA on. And it was like early season or in baseball. So it's not something that's unheard of, but we haven't seen it.
No. It's definitely not heard. Like the ABC World of Sports, like there would be these daytime fights. I actually remember when Mike Tyson, he fought the guy from New York. Basically the guy kind of just quit, but like Tyson like knocked him out with like a flying left hook. And it was like during and it wasn't anything special, but it was like, Tyson's fighting. But this is 30 years later, and this is just a kind of different world that we're dealing with in boxing. And then boxing does not do a good job as like the UFC or different venues in MMA in really kind of building up towards the fight. And
there's no.
We don't even want to talk about their undercards. But with that said,
hold on. Let me say this. I think this was a prime example of Mayweather promotions filling themselves. Like they a few years ago, they trickled tender waters to go to Atlanta, and they were the first real major boxer to fight in Atlanta in decades, and it sold out. And then he went back there, and it sold out great again. I think Mayweather was like, well, you know what I'm saying? My guy's a star. We can fight anywhere on any day. And then they put him over in LA and it flopped. You know what I'm saying? Because it is what it is. I bet you if it was the two factors. I think if you separate one of the factors, it'll be better. If he would have did it on Sunday and still had it in Atlanta, I think it would have did great sales. Or had it on Saturday on a different day, because you know what I'm saying? You still had Haney fighting on Saturday. So maybe the following week or whatever, you know what I'm saying, in LA, and I think it would have did better also. But those two factors, I think he couldn't overcome it.
Are we jumping right into Tank here? We want to end kind of Ben. Is that
No. One thing I want to say is I want to give one credit to a young fighter. And I want to get his name right. Is Xander
Zayas.
Xander Zayas, who I thought looked great. So it was so if you see him, so they fought at 152, but it was kind of a catch weight. He really fights at 147. And so they said he was, up there 5'10, 152, which is a little probably like less than my dimension. I was like, there's no way. That guy looks huge in the ring. He's a young guy. I thought he looked awesome. Like his punches were lightning fast. He did one move where the guy was coming in and he jumped back. And when he jumped back, he did a check hook. And it was like real subtle. Didn't nobody do that. And I was just like, did you? And I'm thinking, like, y'all just see what he did? He jumped back. And just like real. And then he almost like pivoted. But he was doing and kind of showing some things within there where I said, this guy has an opportunity to be scary, special. I'm usually hesitant on fighters from Puerto Rico. They have that kind of UK thing sometimes. Like they don't really have good chins sometimes. Like Cotto had chin problems. I love Tito, whatnot, but he had chin problems, once he kind of got up there. But if this guy can take a punch, which we still haven't seen, he has opportunity.
Who was this guy he fought?
What? No, the guy was undefeated, but he coming up. What you have to do is just looking at the eye test, right? So he's young. He only has 11 fights.
Fair enough.
11 fights.
Just I'm very reluctant to get gassed off these dudes sometimes when they're getting spoon-fed certain guys, and it's easy to look good against certain level of opposition, but it's fair. It's an eye test. As somebody who's watched boxing for a while, you use your judgment to determine how you think the guy's going to project. So fair enough. I didn't watch. I need to see it. It was the same. I treated Jarod Ennis the same way. I treated the kid Virgil Ortiz the same way. I treated Shakur the same way. Well, maybe not so much Shakur as I watched Shakur in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah. Let me know,
now, there was a lot of buildup with Shakur,
cool.
which I give him credit because he's been able to handle it at, the more that the closer the microscope, the harder it is to kind of and perform under that pressure. We don't have to spend a lot of bit of time on there. Like this wasn't even, and I'll be honest, this was a segment that I threw in there. We were going to talk about Michael Williams Jr. I will say something just a little bit. I thought that was really just in kind of an abject failure, that performance. Everybody, they spoke about it, but I thought it was beyond amateurish. He looked out of his element depth. You get to the point when they're just kind of like grabbing his posture. He was going down, and you just knew it was going to be a violent knockout because he's not responsible defensively. And I don't know. I thought it was not pretty at all, and it was kind of hard to watch at times because
who is this? I'm sorry. Who?
He's a North Carolina boxer, man.
He's from Fayetteville. He's from Fayettille.
He's trained by Roy Jones, and I think Roy Jones' whole stable is questionable. But like you said, we saw him when he was in the amateurs. We saw him when he was on the come up in the pros. I did see his social media. He stated that the weight drain caused him to give a poor performance. It is what it is at this point. I don't know how he's
being modest. Like, we saw his last performance. Well, not in his last, but last time we saw his performance. He fought some guy out of New York, and he barely won that fight. Like, he was holding on. He's real chinny. Part of it is because he doesn't know how to protect his chin. Like, the guy is just I don't know, but they did make the point that he had an undefeated record, but he only had 2 opponents that had a winning record. And then they gave the record of his opponents, and it was, embarrassing. But if you put a guy out there, and I always say that there's no way, people know we're in North Carolina, that you're not gonna raise up a fighter here in North Carolina. You don't have the fighters here. You don't have the training. You don't have the gyms. There's no, and my brother somebody asked me, like, yo, man, if I want to fight, like, what do I want to do? I was like, you need to leave here. You need to either go to Las Vegas or like Southern California, or in the East Coast. It's got to be in the Jersey, Philly area. But right here, you're not. Anytime any of our local fighters leave and go and fight, they get embarrassed. The only ones I'm not gonna say like Beeman didn't get there, but he probably was the best, and he had a modicum of success. I thought he had an opportunity to be a world champion if he would have had the kind of timing and stuff. But usually they go out, and once they go out to any kind of place that has any level of competition, it's bad. And then
that's a whole nother topic, man. Like so if you from Carolina and you go somewhere, and like Beeman, perfect example, man. He went to Vegas, but they kind of threw him to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not from there, so they threw him. He fought in Mexico.
He should have been there. He should have been. What I'm saying is like,
but I
he
mean,
tried to come
they
up
just
here.
kept feeding the Mexican fighters, fighter after fighter after
Well, I'm
fighter.
saying, Randy, I'm not saying
Anytime
he should have went there. He built up his record here and then try to go there. Don't do that. You're fooling yourself.
Yeah, I agree what you're saying, man. I agree what you're saying, but they threw him to the wolves, man. And he had potential.
It's not to the wolves. It was just to any kind of competition, man. He said that he wanted to fight for a world championship, like in like his second fight. Like the first one, he had a draw, but like this is what he wanted. He thought he was at that level. Like he said he wanted to fight for this championship, bro. But I mean, we don't. We do want to get a little bit of time, so we got a fight coming up. Is this going to close out the year? So that there are some MMA and UFC fights, but I think for boxing, the Beterbiev versus Travis Brown is going to close us out for the year.
Marcus Brown.
I mean, Marcus Brown's Travis. Marcus Brown. I apologize for that, Marcus.
We got, because Golovkin and Murata was supposed to close us out, and that has been postponed. So yes, we've got we do have Zuldo versus Yuneski Gonzalez on Saturday, and we've got David Morel-Alantes Fox, who's a local guy, against a serious blue chip prospect and a serious contender at 168 on Saturday. So that, I think, officially closes us out. Zuldo versus Gonzalez for light heavyweight fight, and Morel-Alantes Fox at super middleweight on Saturday. Those are the fights that close us out.
So we also want to give a little bit of preview. So as the boxing, as the holidays come upon us, and also as some of the boxing action slows down, we're going to be mixing in a couple of different segments, some of our own kind of personal segments, but we will also kind of look to incorporate some kind of new programming that we might try out within here. And we're also going to do our best of at the end of the year. So we want to have knockout of the year, fight of the year, fight of the year, and then also prospect of the year. So we are about at that time. It's a pretty good show. We definitely missed the kind of wisdom and the kind of jockeying of Coach Dave. But I love coming together, my two light-skinned brothers, and, you know, bringing some of my brown skin energy. So this is Professor Nims. So all right, Bosston Jarod, anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, man, looking forward to this Marcus Brown Beterbiev fight on Friday, man. That's a big fight.
There's two lightweight belts that's actually on the line for that fight.
There's 2 belts on the line, and I really think if Beterbiev wins this fight and he wins it unimpressively, and Marcus Brown is able to really expose some stuff, I really think we can see Beterbiev Canelo in the spring. But Beterbiev has got to look bad. He's got to look vulnerable. He's got to hit the deck once or twice. He's got to look bad. If Marcus Brown wins, you can forget about it. He'll never, ever come back to 175. Really? Marcus Brown is a 6'2.5", 6'3", technical guy, southpaw with 74-inch arms and some shit like that. Now he is working with Derek James, and I'll be honest with you guys, I do not think much of Derek James as a trainer. I do not think that Marcus Brown stylistically, that's a good match. I watched the regression of Jermell Charlo leaving Ronnie Shields and going to Derek James. And Jermell went from a very technical boxer to this kind of action, I don't want to call him a brawler, but Marcus Brown, very much a technical, slick fighter. And I don't know that Derek James does a good job of teaching that. Errol Spence was ready-made coming out of the amateur system. Errol Spence had all the best coaches in the world coming out of the amateurs. So before people sit on here and leave comments about Errol Spence being unified and Jamel Charlo, those guys were already ready-made dudes before they came to Derrick James. Those guys were no assembly required, batteries included. I don't really count those guys as far as guys that Derrick James has built. I ran on for a little bit. Good fight on a Friday night, man. I will definitely, it's going to keep me in the house. I'll be here to watch that fight. We'll see that fight live.
I might be able to watch that fight too. I mean, if so, then I might holler at you or whatnot. We might do like a little streaming or whatever. But I definitely look forward to that fight. I actually think Marcus Brown has a possibility of getting stopped. I'm not that impressed with Beterbiev necessarily. He is strong. Like technically, he has a lot of flaws. I just don't know where Marcus Brown is at. And then he struggled mightily against John Pascal, who is, to me, I thought has been shot for.
Yeah, well, Jean Pascal was on that shit though. And they probably should have looked at vacating that loss, but you're right. It's not the hit or there. He went down 3 times in 1 round against Jean Pascal, but he was outboxing Pascal for the first 7 rounds.
He was, but like everybody, like Pascal doesn't throw. Pascal just do that and just flurries and just did like Pascal, like he got beat by a 48-year-old Hopkins. But all right, because anything that you want to say before we sign off?
Nah, not much more. But one interesting fact, hopefully by next week when we come on, the 147 IBF mandatory will be announced. So we'll see who and I definitely disagree with Jarod with Derrick James, man. He is a legit trainer. You know what I'm saying? And I put Jamel over Jamal any day.
I'm not mad at that at all. We say another good episode that we are wrapping up, and we appreciate you as the Pundits of Pugilism. We're gonna close out. So hopefully we are gonna right now we're working with a new editor, so we're gonna get a couple of new different things. And if y'all have any suggestions as far as programming or things that you might want to see, please put them down into the comments. And remember to like and subscribe, because you'll get all the updates and the posts. And once we do these new videos, you will get all of these hits. So this is Professor Nims signing off. Pop Talk. Peace out.